trial is going to start, people. And I have not talked about him too much. And the reason is that, of course, a lack of statements. And what I want to do, though, is try to get an idea of who Brian Kohberger is. And if you haven't done so, Sweetie Pie did a live a couple of months ago where she went very raw in terms of what she has found out about Brian Kohberger, who he is, some of his deviant habits, and so on and so on. And I am, I'm not surprised actually that now there are a bunch of fan clubs, and some women are talking about how hot he is, and I'm thinking this dude never, from what I heard, he couldn't get a date. Like where was all this affection before these murders? You know what I mean? Because it's always so weird. You hear about so-called incels, and I've just learned recently that incel means involuntarily celibate, who all of a sudden after they murder a bunch of people, suddenly they become attractive to others. I don't know. I mean, it's really mind-boggling, to use Daniel Martel's words. But what I found very interesting is actually his demeanor when he was stopped alongside his father at a traffic stop. Because I want to know, who is Brian Kohberger aside from the person that we have learned about already through his friends. And if they are not his friends, his classmates, because some of them said that, I mean, yes, he was very overweight in high school, and he was bullied. But then he lost his weight and he became a bully. And he somehow developed a heroin habit. I don't know how that happened, but the fact that he went from being bullied to turning into a bully already reveals a certain pattern to me, that he is revenge minded, because a lot of children who get bullied really want acceptance. But in his case, he may have given up. He may not, that's not really what he was after. He wanted to be dominant. He felt a need to get people back for what they have done to him. He has one of my favorite sayings is, the way you do anything is the way that you do everything, because we have developed certain patterns, and he may be one of those people who thinks that he has actually the right to hurt others because wrong was done to him. And what I found very interesting when he got pulled over by the police is his father was with him. And the way the interaction between him and his father being completely different from him, and also kind of very strange, too talkative. And well, let's go ahead and watch this together, and then you tell me in the comment section what you actually think, if it works. That was, yeah, sorry. ผู้ใช้ใหม่รับส่วนลด Shut up. 8% Here we go.
Hello, how you doing? How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van.
Okay. So he gets pulled over, and okay, let me watch the whole thing first, and then we go through it bit by bit.
Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed? Well, we come from WSU, and What's WSU?
University, basically. That is SWAT team and everything.
So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh,
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
oh, okay.
Yeah. We're slightly punchy. We drive for hours.
Hours, days.
To drive. Well,
Yep.
almost a day.
Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing? Or
Yeah, there was mass shooting and everything.
Where? Interesting.
Well, it's horrifying because he's supposed to be university.
So y'all work at the university there?
Actually, he worked there.
Oh,
He was PhD.
okay. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident. Just yesterday, or?
This happened about an hour and a half ago. We're still wrapping it up.
Okay, guys. So the father, he seems very talkative. Like I don't know about you guys. When I like at work, I love to talk to police officers. Loved it because I love the stories. I always like to know what's going on inside of people's heads and how a criminal investigation is done. I also am interested in what police is going through on an everyday basis. It's really you have dirty cops here and there, but I think that police is law enforcement. That's a job that really, really is demanding, and police needs all of the assistance that they can get in terms of having the right analysts and the right people sending them in the right direction to do their investigation. But as we have seen in the case of Sebastian Rogers, you cannot always rely on them to do what they have to do or what they should be doing. So it's very interesting. This guy, the father of Brian Kohberger, seems to just be a guy who I don't know how to express it, but like something is very strange, I feel, about the dynamic between the father and the son. And having said that, I love to talk to police officers when I'm being pulled over, which happened just the other day. I am quiet, man. I mean, I just have a very bad. I don't like somebody having authority over me and me just having done something I shouldn't be doing. I can't wait to get the hell out of there. I don't even want to converse about nothing because if they don't like me, I just don't want to get a ticket. I want to get out of there. I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm nice. Okay, what did I do? Okay, I'm sorry. And when they're done with me, I'm very happy they're done with me. But this guy is yapping and yapping and yapping. And it's also strange that they're doing such a long road trip, isn't it? I mean, why don't you fly home? Why don't you take a plane? I mean, driving 4 days. Sometimes I have to drive for 2 or 3 hours on the weekends, and I hate it. I mean, it's just nothing enjoyable about that. But maybe this goes way back to him and his father just being connected and having time together. I don't know. But Brian Kohberger and his father seem very different from each other. And dare I say that Brian Kohberger is probably a lot smarter than his father. And I think that's sort of where his attitude may have started early on, because remember, he was a teaching assistant, but he got fired because he was just talking down to people. So the attitude of being smarter than everybody else may have actually developed in the childhood, where his daddy was yapping and yapping and yapping and probably saying a bunch of stuff where Brian thought, oh, this guy's just dumb. Maybe he wasn't thinking that directly, but he maybe was somebody who actually started correcting his father already in his teenage years when he got something wrong. And his father seems like somebody who may be opinionated, talk a lot about political cases or politics or what have you, and just be extremely talkative. And Brian, I think, became somebody who just, was belligerent at times. Like, I'm right and everybody's wrong. And talking about the dating scene again, women said that one of the things he asked them when he met a woman in a club or in a bar or wherever, he would say, do you live alone? And there is no proven connection between intelligence and wisdom. That's something Jordan Peterson actually stated one time, and I agree 100%. I know people who are far from what I would consider intelligent, but they make really good decisions. They're very wise and sometimes highly intuitive also, and they just know how to maneuver through life. And then you have others who are, you know, when it comes to math and physics, they get things immediately and they're way ahead of the class and they're awkward. They don't know how to bond, how to communicate, especially in the teenage years. It starts showing up very much when it comes to, their lack of dates because they just don't know how to approach girls or women. They are very they just have their one way and they don't know how to switch it. So the way a guy communicates with his own father, it can indicate what the childhood was like, what the dynamics were in the house, how he came to be who he became later. And he has these intense dark eyes, these weird. He's when he got pulled over first, there I interpret his demeanor. He was stressed. And that was just hours after the incidents, right? Didn't the dad mention that? After the shooting. Not shooting, right? It was stabbing. After that was just hours after Brian Kohberger actually allegedly committed the murders. So he was still, in my opinion, on kind of a high. And probably adrenaline came right back when he was pulled over, thinking, maybe they got me now. And I think he was probably pretty relieved when the guy said, yeah, you followed the truck too closely. And that again, I'm saying the way you do anything is the way you do everything. He's a pushy person, be it with the students that he helped teach or assisting the professor, or be it with women. He's a pushy guy. And so the way that he was driving, and there was another traffic stop that he had, which I may play later on, also indicating pretty much the same thing. He is a pushy dude who just doesn't feel the need to step back or anything.
I would not shoot his two shoes if he did shoot somebody.
I see.
And then you can get held up that actually.
Well,
There were some
interesting. Wow. Okay. So do me a favor and don't follow too close, okay? All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay, so the cop was like, yeah, this guy's going for a PhD. He didn't even know about the murders yet. And it's also interesting to me that this happened, the night before Brian left town. Because we know now from the Dateline episode, as far as I have picked up on it, and I only watched it a little bit off and on, that he was stalking these people for a very long time. He was waiting for the right moment to commit these murders. By the way, everybody's innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. I am not a judge. I am not a member of the jury. I am not actively involved in this case. However, I have my opinions and I will voice them. Or, as I much rather call them, thoughts. I have my thoughts on these matters. So, he is a revenge minded person and he doesn't let things go. So, even when he lost his weight, he no longer gotten bullied. He didn't enjoy life being, you know, becoming accepted more. He maybe never felt accepted. Maybe he gave up on it. Maybe he didn't even want to be accepted anymore. Maybe he thought everybody was just stupid, not worthy of his time. And he wanted to get revenge from people in general, which also included people who had, maybe nothing to do with him being bullied. Just bystanders, just randomly, just an angry guy. As you can see in his eyes, there was no warmth. There's nothing that I see that is, connectable really. And maybe he thought, okay, I'm about to go away for a while. Now is the right time, or now would be a great time to commit these murders. Let me go to this house. So maybe before, when he was stalking these people and cruising around, driving by their homes, by their home, maybe he already had his knife with him. Maybe he was already considering the possibility, waiting, who knows. But I think he actually had the plan, and the plan was just so precise that he thought, today I have to do it. I have to do it now before I leave town. And it's going to be great that I'm gone, that I'm out of town. And I have a reason to be out of town. And I've planned this for a long time. So nobody can accuse me of fleeing, because that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a break from school. I'm going back home, a long road trip. And he went in there and he killed these people. And there were different, I heard the claims who his actual target was. My question is, which of the people in that house did he first have contact with? Was it Mrs. Concalves? Was it one of the women? And did he feel rejected by her? And you cannot look at the motive through your own eyes. In criminology, a motive has to be a motive to the person who commits the crime. It doesn't require us to understand it or be able to relate to it. But what we can do is try to explain it. And maybe that particular rejection triggered something in him, meaning memories from earlier rejections. When he was very heavy set, maybe he was ridiculed, emasculated, who knows? All of these things are possible. That for some reason, at this particular moment, that person became the object of his hatred. And in serial killers, it has often been the case that the victims all are a certain type. In Ted Bundy's case, it was allegedly just that. A woman who, he had a horrible childhood, by the way, Ted Bundy, horrible. But a very beautiful girl, he dated her, And then she dropped him. And the feeling was, I am now back to nothing. He was elevated by this relationship. And when she gotten rid of him, it was basically his whole life and his past memories and everything came back crumbling down for him. And he turned hope into just hatred, just despair, like nothing good will ever happen to me. Now it's time to have revenge. And that mindset continued through all of the crimes that Ted Bundy had committed. And the other thing in Ted Bundy's case was that he was definitely sociopathic, which is not a swear word to me. It's the actual diagnosis. And in the case of Kohberger, I don't know if he's sociopathic, if he can qualify as that or not. I haven't made up my mind yet. It would be easier for me to get some more statements from his to figure that out. But he hates being caught. He hates being wrong. There are certain indicators that he could be, but I am not sure he actually is. Now they're saying he's autistic and has OCD and all of that. I don't see autistic. So-called Asperger's, who knows? I mean, who hasn't? Who doesn't have it these days, right? Pun intended. No, not pun, but hint intended. OCD, I can see that. He's a very obsessive guy. He's very meticulous, I believe. And he lives in his own world, in his own dark world. And the creepiest thing I saw was the picture, the selfie he took shortly after the murders, just coming out of the shower. And I have told some people exactly what makes it so creepy to me and what my thoughts are about that particular picture. But I don't want to air this yet with you guys. So let's go to the other time the dude was pulled over. But first, the commercial.
Hello, I am Officer Langus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You were in the red light.
Wait. He ran a red light.
I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah, so I was behind you the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically,
Wait a minute.
intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you're on the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Do you know the entrance to Johnson, that street?
Do you have the registration and insurance?
We just get this figured out.
You what?
I'm just gonna get this out for you.
Okay.
So, anyways, I will go back into this in another video. I just wanted to briefly introduce a few thoughts about Brian Kohberger, but one thing, he will ask a lot of questions to this police officer. And he's very detail oriented. He wants to know exactly what he did wrong. I don't know if he knew he did something wrong, but he was, pushy driving, I call it. He has a pushy personality. So the question is also not only who was the main target in the house, but what was it about the other people that made it okay for him, through his eyes, to kill them? And they had what seemed to be a pretty fun life. I'm way past the desire to party and all of this stuff, but they always had parties at the house. They were magnets to others. They were very social. They were everything that Brian was not. And he may have felt like they were just nothing to him, right? So he didn't see them or their lives as pretty much worth anything. Let me see if I can. Well, there's a video out there where it was, I think, a month before, no, 3 months before the stabbings. The cops visited that house, and these were, popular guys, popular students who just had a lot of activity in their home, and they had a big social circle. And I think that, yes, one person in particular was being targeted. I do believe that that was probably the first person, possibly the first person of the house, in the house that he ever had contact with. So it would be very interesting for me to know when he first met or talked to any of them, because what we want to do is already get ahead a little bit and establish a pattern. So whenever we get statements, we can examine them and know what to look for. So I'm looking forward to Sweetie Pie Law, hopefully making a few more lives about Brian Kohberger, introducing me to the case that I don't know that much about. And we're going to hear a lot about that. This is a case that's not going to go away. This is like, who knows, man, if it's going to be OJ Part 2. But this guy is really, in my opinion, he personifies the person we were looking for the whole time. He is everything that you would expect from the profile of somebody who could have done something like that. And what I'm going back to right now is the time when I first heard about the killings, before he was arrested, when everybody wondered who could have done that. And the idea of who could have done that, I had a certain idea. And Brian Kohberger is everything that I thought a person would be like, who would do something like that, and more. So as far as, let me be careful with my wording here. I'm not looking for the real killer at all. And I wonder what kinds of statements he would make. And I will look at the Papa Rajas postings again to see if I can find something, people. But Brian Kohberger, he has already shown us who he is. And again, it's going to be the media. I expect the media to talk about, to give a lot of people airtime who claim he's innocent, because that makes for good ratings. People will get angry and they will feel smart about themselves, because they will say, oh, these idiots, they don't know, they think he didn't do it. But in reality, the people in the media, they know. They know, in my opinion. And but airing what you know is not always the most exciting thing for the public. So they love to play both sides. They love to please everybody a little bit, and they love to just get people riled up so they tune back in and voice their opinions. And they go on the Facebook pages of the TV stations, and they continue there, and they stay tuned in. They're glued to it. And it's similar in the case of Gabby Petito. I mean, see what a media frenzy that was. And of course, all these outlets, a lot of people, newscasters we didn't know of before, really, they became very well known through this. That's what I'm expecting now as well. It's going to be a huge circus. And I don't know what all the judge will allow in there. The Dateline episode, supposedly, there was some serious leakage that shouldn't have happened. So I'm expecting, as I said, a big circus. But I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope that I have been useful in introducing to you a little bit who I think Brian Kohberger is, what we can expect from him, and what what may have motivated him to do what he actually did.